guys, what's going on? It's T-Carp. We're going to get into the Sierra Kills Part 2. The Justin interview by Robert Lindsay, published January 26, 2012. The following is an interview with Justin, the man who shot and killed 2 Bigfoots in Sierra County in the Sierra Nevada of California on October 10th, 2010. For the full story on what happened, or what has come to be known as the Sierra Kills as it was first published on this blog, see here. The interview was recorded via notes taken, but most shortly after the interview, and memory was added to it. It was not tape recorded. So this is from notes. Robert Lindsay, what was it like when you were driving down the road? JS, well, we kept seeing large scat piles on the road that did not look like any scat we had seen before, just one after the other on the road. It wasn't a bear, it wasn't a mountain lion. It didn't make any sense with the scat piles. Well, you see, it's just not the Bigfoots who are going to be forced onto that road. All wildlife is going to use the road. We saw sign from all sorts of wildlife along that road. Then we came to a spot I described, and you go around a blind corner. Then the road ends a ways away, and the trails off into a meadow. Robert Lindsay says, original reports said that the Bigfoot was in the road. Was it? Justin says, not really. It was in the meadow about 80 yards away from us, forward and a bit to the left. It was in the meadow where the road ends, Robert Lindsay. And when you first saw it, you thought it was a man in a suit, and people were making a movie nearby. But then you shot it. People are attacking you for shooting what you thought might have been a human. But I heard that as soon as you saw the face, you knew it was not human, right? Justin says, that's right. I knew it wasn't a human. At first, I thought it might be a man in a costume. Then I saw the face and knew it wasn't. RL, Robert, you would not shoot something if you thought in your mind it might possibly be human, right? JS says, that's right. RL, what did the Bigfoot look like? Can you describe it? JS, well, honestly, it looked like a man in a monkey suit. That's the best way I can put it. It had a cone head and a tapered head. RL, you were not able to determine the sex of the creature by looking at it. Did it have visible breast? JS, I couldn't tell the sex of it, and I didn't see any breast. Everyone automatically assumes it was a female because it had 2 kids with it. RL, do you have any idea why it was waving its hands over its head? JS, I'm not sure. Maybe just to say, here I am. I'm not dangerous. Don't shoot me. Maybe something like that. Hard to say. RL, okay. When the thing took off into the brush after you shot it, it crashed down at one point and apparently died. You said it sounded like a car crash when it went down. People say in order for it to sound like a car crash, it would have had to have gone off a cliff or a ledge. What do you say? JS, well, we think it hit a tree and knocked the tree over. We later found that there was a tree that was apparently falling over, and something had knocked it over all the way at about 4 to 5 foot mark. What's left is a stump at that level, and then the fallen tree lying on the ground. The loud sound may have been the sound of a tree falling in the woods. RL, people say that you shot the little one due to your bloodlust being aroused after you shot the first one. Hunters are susceptible to bloodlust and shooting a second animal after shooting a first one. Is that what happened? Did you shoot the first one, or did shooting the first one arouse your bloodlust and result in the shooting of the second one? JS, yes, that's what happened, definitely. Bloodlust is a good reason for the second shooting. As good reason as any, really. RL, okay, the little one. There was quite a scene when you shot the juvenile. I assume from reading about the scene and how upset and freaked out the driver was that shooting the baby was traumatizing to the both of you. Was it traumatizing? Was it because it looked so human? JS, I would say yes. It looked like a little black kid. If you take a cross between a little black kid and a chimpanzee, that's what it was. RL, what did the driver think it was? JS, I think by then he thought it was a Bigfoot. He had heard about Bigfoots there before and knew quite a bit about them. He was ready to believe in them, and he thought I had just killed a couple of Bigfoot, as crazy as that sounds. RL, in the original story via taxidermy.net, people said that the driver took your gun away from you and said, "That's it. That's the last one of these things you're going to shoot today. No more." JS, yes, well, I'm not saying it went down that way or not, but I don't remember it going down that way. Let's put it that way. RL, but whether he actually took the gun away or not, that was his attitude, right? That's it. That's the last one of these things you're shooting today and no more. JS, oh, definitely. That would describe his attitude perfectly. RL, well, if they are a tribe of people, then what did you do that day in Sierra Kills? In quotations, a bit of beating around the bush, as he really doesn't want to completely answer the question. I keep pushing, and finally I get an answer. JS, a firm, confident, no-nonsense tone with little emotion and no anxiety. That means I committed homicide. RL, how do you feel about that possibility? Are you worried about going down on a homicide charge? JS, not really. RL, what do you think these Bigfoots are? Do you think they are people? Do you think they are some weird tribe of humans like us? JS, to me, they're not people. Whatever they are not like us. They are not us. As far as I'm concerned, they're animals. We are people, and they're animals. RL, people say that after a month in the woods, there is no way that there would hardly be anything left of the body. Most of the body would still be there. Is that true? JS, no, it's not. I kill animals all the time, and we take the gut pile, the leftovers, everything that's not edible, and dump it out in the woods. If you go back a month later, there's almost nothing left. There will be bits of flesh and definitely some hair, and there should be bones. The scavengers, especially the coyotes, they just destroy anything in the woods. Nothing lasts. And that's actually really true. Like, to be honest with you, if you left a body or if you left a carcass in the woods, like a gut pile's gone the next day. The next day, coyotes, things will find it. Everything will be gone in like a day or two. So, to me, like, if they went back a month later and found, no, they didn't. That's just, Travis's interjection. Anyway, RL. So what you found after you went back there on November 13th, about a month later, was what you would expect to find after a month in the woods? JS. Pretty much yes. The only thing that was there should have been some bones. We found no bones. I have no explanation for that. We'll see. RL, do you think the Bigfoots buried the body or bodies? JS, I doubt if they buried the big one because we would not have found anything left at all if they did. Maybe they came back later and took the bones. I have no idea. RL, you are aware of rumors that 2 bodies from the kills were recovered and are being hidden, right? More particularly, that they are being hidden possibly with Wally Harrison. JS, yes, I have heard those. I don't know what to think of them. I'm certainly not hiding any bodies, that's for sure. Whether others went out there and found the body or bodies and took them away without telling me, well, it's possible. Let me tell you this. If Wally or anyone else was hiding the bodies and I knew about it, well, right now, I would be on the phone to them demanding some shut-up money. And unless they paid up, I would go to the media and tell them that they are hiding the bodies. And right now, I need money, something awful. I am 2 months behind on my house payments. There's hardly been any work at all, and all I need is $2,000. That alone would help me out, since I'm broke. And no one is paying me any hush money, and I'm not spilling the beans about hidden bodies. You can infer that I'm not in any plot to hide bodies, and I wish that they had the bodies, believe me. I would be demanding hush money. You know I would. Please see Exhibit 3 for the complete interview. I recommend the reader closely study the statement, along with the 2 interviews concerning what has come to be known as the Sierra Kills. These 3 exhibits give the reader the best overview of what happened. One can see the accounts differ on what happened to the bodies. I think the motivation becomes clear as one reads between the lines. There's definitely a concern over the legality of the shooting, including fear of possible persecution. This fear will play a major role in the events that would unfold approximately a year later, which will be discussed in detail in a later chapter. To add more credibility to this event, so-called big names in the Bigfoot research world were involved in or investigated this event. These people include Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Dr. John Kaczynski, Adrian Erickson, Matt Moneymaker, Derek Randalls, and Tyler Huggins. In fact, Tyler wrote a detailed blog post entitled Why I Believed Justin Schmaja. In this detailed blog, Huggins lists 20 reasons why he believed Justin shot 2 Bigfoot, killing an infant Bigfoot in the encounter. Huggins said the following in the blog introduction and conclusion. If you are reading this, you are without doubt familiar with the Sierra Kills incident and its recounting by one Justin. For that reason, I will not get into recapping the entire encounter, but as one of the first investigators to interview Justin, I would like to touch upon some of the features and characteristics of this encounter that I found to be compelling, even before I encountered the physical evidence, and then delineate the potential conclusion it leads us to. None of the conclusions are really plausible, but hopefully one of them stands out as less implausible than the others. To bend a well-known phrase, once you eliminate the most implausible, whatever remains, no matter how improbable, is likely the truth. To me, an examination of the facts left me with the impression that the possibility that these witnesses, Justin and associate, telling the truth was greater than the possibility for the other conclusion, that was before I ever saw or came into possession of any physical evidence, either circumstantial or direct. My hope is that our ongoing examination of the physical evidence will eventually completely negate the need to try to decide whether Justin is telling the truth or not. But in the meantime, I feel quite strongly that the preponderance of evidence supports credibility of his claims. Please see Exhibit 31 for the entire blog post. In Chapter 11, Huggins' role in attempting to discredit the Sasquatch Genome Project will be explained. This blog post by Huggins is critical foundational documentation. He believed that Justin had in fact killed a Bigfoot, and that by his own admission, Huggins encountered the physical evidence. This is a major fact that the reader needs to understand. Tyler Huggins admitted to the fact that he encountered physical evidence. Justin shot and killed a Bigfoot. In addition to the piece of flesh, or Bigfoot steak, and Huggins' admission that physical evidence did exist, Justin also passed a professionally administered polygraph test. This test, or the test, was given as a part of a video special produced by Ro Sahib. The polygraph session was recorded for Sahib's special. Jeannie Hobbs of Norcal Polygraph was the polygraph examiner. Hobbs has 10 years of experience as a polygraph examiner, a degree in criminal justice, and is a licensed private investigator. She is also a member of the PEOA, Polygraph Examiners of America, and CAPE, California Association of Polygraph Examiners. I think it is important to note that according to the blog author, the questions were, quote, pre-written by Bart Cutino, who's been investigating the incident for the last year and has a bachelor's degree in criminology/law enforcement at the University of California State Fresno. Some additional questions were added by Rowe, a film producer from Los Angeles. Again, the most interesting questions were the following. The question 7. Are all of the statements you are making in regards to shooting the 2 bipedal primates, which incident is now being called the Sierra Kills, true? Answer, yes. Test results, passed. No deception. Question number 8. Is this entire Sierra Kills story a hoax? Answer, no. Test results, passed. No deception. Question 12. Do you truly believe that the piece of flesh you have processed, cut into pieces, and sent to various labs, and a piece of flesh from the unidentified animal you claim to have shot from the Sierra Kills incident? Answer, yes. Test results, passed. No deception indicated. Please see Exhibit 4 for the complete polygraph test results. The polygraph examiner, Jean Hobbs, was later interviewed. Following are some questions/answers of interest. While doing my research, I read it is common practice in polygraph tests to share the questions you're going to ask with the interviewee. Sometimes this is done as a part of the pre-interview process. Did Justin get to preview these questions? Yes. This is normal during a polygraph examination. The test looks for significant involuntary responses, thus physiological reactions that a person would have to be able to control or fake would take years and lots of practice to fake. These questions are not supposed to be gotcha questions. They're asked in a specific sequence to determine fluctuation in physiological activities. We create a baseline when the subject is asked to tell a known lie. Was there anything different about these tests and the test results? This test went like any of the many other tests I performed. After the test, was there a shift in your thinking? I mean, not only did Justin see a Bigfoot, but he shot one. Yeah, it was definitely reinforced for me that Bigfoot are out there. One last question. After the interview was complete and the results were recorded, what was your impression of Justin as a subject? I believe he was truly scared for his life. His actions were based on protecting himself. Overall, he was extremely calm and did not seem to have anything to prove or gain. Please see Exhibit 5 for the complete interview. The critics will predictably turn red in the face as they are going into convulsions, screaming, "Polygraphs aren't reliable!" citing websites/articles by the dozens that back their position. In my opinion, the fact that Justin took a polygraph test is as important as the answers he gave. It is also my opinion that Justin is not the most sophisticated person or a person of means. I do not think he has the skill set to learn how to fool a polygraph test. Another interesting aspect of the polygraph exam was the questions asked. In my opinion, the questions concerning the disposition of the flesh samples were crafted by Bart in an ingenious way. The questions allowed Justin to give truthful answers to questions that were designed to deceive and misdirect the public. I will go into greater detail about these questions and answers in a later chapter. Approximately 2 weeks after the shooting, a piece of flesh was sent to the study. The story of the killing from both the Olympic Project members and Justin was now widely publicized. In order to determine if the sample was authentic and suitable for DNA extraction, the team took several prudent measures. Dr. Doug Tollier was contracted to examine the flesh sample. Dr. Tollier is a clinical pathologist at Hughley Memorial Hospital in Fort Worth, Texas. His specialty is anatomical pathology. Dr. Tollier determined that the skin was not human and that the tissue was not contaminated with bacteria or fungus. Hair samples with follicles were also sent to Patrick W. Wojcicki of the North Louisiana Criminalistics Laboratory, Shreveport, LA, for DNA extraction and sequencing. The follicles were processed for DNA using a robotic extraction process to ensure no human contamination. Both mitochondrial DNA and nuclear DNA were successfully extracted and sequenced. The DNA from the hair follicles were extracted robotically, matched the core sample DNA processed by the team. A core sample from the flesh to ensure no contamination. This sample contained a high quality DNA that yielded both mitochondrial and nuclear DNA. The mitochondrial DNA was consistent with the findings of the other samples in the study, with the same unexplainable anomalies found in the other samples. The nuclear DNA did not match any DNA in the GeneBank genome database, but it was consistent with the other two samples in the study that yielded a complete genome samples 31 and 140. Misleading questions. It is obvious that Bart Catino has extensive knowledge of the legal justice system. His degree in criminology/law enforcement was evident in the questions he crafted for Justin. Question 7. Are all the statements you are making in regards to you shooting 2 bipedal primates, which incidents is now being called the Sierra Kills, true? The key part of this question is in regards to you shooting the 2 bipedal primates. This narrows the scope to just the shooting itself, while implying it concerns the broader Sierra Kills incident. The question allows Justin to answer truthfully, even if he lied about what he did with the bodies after the shooting. Question 8. Is this entire Sierra Kills story a hoax? This is an extremely clever question. Note how it is asked. Is the entire Sierra Kills story a hoax? Therefore, if any part of the story is true, then technically the entire story is not a hoax. This allows Justin to answer truthfully, even if parts of the story were untrue. Question 11. Were you frustrated about not being able to locate the carcass on your first return trip to the site? Note the reference to first return trip. This begs the question, how many trips were there? When was the first trip? Did the subsequent trips yield the body? Was a piece of flesh cut off the body the day of the shooting? Did Justin take the infant body the day of the shooting? Was the purpose of the return trips to look for an adult and not the infant? The phrasing of the question allows Justin to answer truthfully, while giving the general deceitful impression that nobody was found or recovered at all. Question 12. Do you believe that the piece of flesh you have processed, cut into pieces, and sent to various labs is a piece of flesh from the unidentified animal you claim to have shot from the Sierra Kills incident? This question was carefully crafted to imply that Justin is the person that sent off the additional samples to various labs. The various labs' results would conflict with the results of the earlier piece of flesh that was sent to the Sasquatch genome study. It is reasonable to conclude Justin did cut the actual Bigfoot flesh into pieces. Note the phrase, "you have processed," a broad term that allows Justin to be truthful. The fact is, Justin did not send the samples to DNA Diagnostics, Exhibit 16 in the book, or to Wildlife Forensics DNA Laboratory, Exhibit 17. These samples were tested and the results made public, the test yielding the results of black bear with human contamination. Since we have irrefutable documentation that Coutinho, Exhibit 16, and Huggins, Exhibit 17, were the individuals who actually sent off the flesh samples to their respective laboratories, we can only conclude that Justin did not send the samples to these two laboratories. Justin did, however, send samples somewhere for testing, as demonstrated in the question 13 of the polygraph examination. Quote, "Is the piece of flesh given to Wally, redacted, from the same source as the piece of flesh you were instructed to send to a, redacted, lab by Bart Coutinho?" Note that the question says you were instructed to send to a lab, thus indicating that Justin did send results off himself at the behest of Coutinho. The results of these tests have never been made public. In my opinion, the probable scenario is as follows. Justin cut several samples off the Sasquatch flesh. Justin sent at least one sample for testing himself, and he also gave samples to Coutinho and Huggins to send off as well. Coutinho and Huggins made the switch, replacing the Bigfoot flesh with bear flesh without Justin's knowledge, thus allowing Justin to answer truthfully to questions 11 and 12. This is speculation on my part, but Justin may have actually sent off for testing a piece of Sasquatch flesh. Thus, the reason why the results from this were never made public. In my opinion, that the phrasing of these questions strongly suggests that Coutinho and Huggins worked together to discredit the Sasquatch Genome Project by testing bear flesh samples that they claimed were the same Bigfoot flesh sample sent to the Sasquatch Genome Project. It is also, in my opinion, that the polygraph questions allowed the public to be misled about what happened to the Bigfoot bodies after the shooting, including the circumstances surrounding the shooting. It is my belief that the shootings occurred. Unfortunately, that is all we know for certain. The questions asked in this polygraph test not only conclusively demonstrate that Justin did, in fact, shoot two bipedal primates, in quote unquote, all the other details to include what happened to the bodies, what happened to any flesh, when the bodies were recovered, etc., though appearing to be answered in the fact were not. In my opinion, Coutinho's skillful crafting of the questions allowed the entire examination to be misled. All right, guys, and that is the conclusion of the Sierra Kills chapter in this book, and that was a long one, guys. This, I think, was 10 2 parts, and it's an hour long total. So I think each one lasted 25-30 minutes. Guys, just to review, what we know is Justin shot and killed, I believe, 2 Bigfoots. When they were trying to keep Justin out of jail, they some things happened there. Dad believes that there's some folks that switched some things out, because again, the mitochondrial DNA of the Sasquatch Genome Project was human and the nuclear was unknown, but then you have other samples that were supposedly sent in by supposedly the same Bigfoot stake or whatnot, and it was black bear and human contamination. I think that is very telling. I think that's when you start to get the, hey, we need to really nosedive this study. And we'll get into chapter 6 and chapter 7 about the whys and the like-minded conspiracy of it. So guys, again, thank you so much for watching. This is T-Carp, or Travis. My name's Travis Carpenter, Scott Carpenter's son. So we're getting through this together. I really appreciate you guys. Like, subscribe, share. Let me know in the comments. I sure appreciate you guys. Y'all have a good one. This is T-Carp signing out.